This story is about that time, when Jesus used to guide people through his teachings in the streets of Jerusalem. At that time, we see a man named Clarence, who is participating in a chariot race with his best friend. Whoever wins this race will receive a substantial prize. Suddenly, an old man steps in front of Clarence's chariot, but he doesn't care him. He brushes the old man aside and moves forward. But when he reached the gypsies' area, they shoot at him, due to which Clarence's carriage meets with an accident and he falls from the carriage, and he loses the race. Clarence is left reeling with distress after his defeat in the race, because he urgently needs the money. He has borrowed money from someone and needs to quickly return it. The man whom Clarence borrowed money, Clarence loves his sister deeply, and her name is Verinia. Afterwards Clarence and his friend enter the market. There, they see Jesus, accompanied by his 12 apostles. Many people gather around Jesus, and they are trying to touch him. Upon seeing Jesus, Clarence is deeply impressed. He tells his friend that he also wants to become a powerful person like him. Afterwards, he approaches the 12 apostles of Jesus, and among them is one who is Clarence's brother, whose name Thomas. Clarence tells him that he wants to meet Jesus, but Thomas firmly refuses, saying, "You do not believe in Jesus. Leave from here." Afterwards, Clarence approaches that man from whom he borrowed the money. The man threatens him, saying, "If you don't return my money within 30 days, I will have you hanged." He then meets the sister of that person, whose name is Verinia, whom he loves. He asks her for help, but she says, "I cannot help you in this matter." Afterwards, Clarence and his friend leave from there. Some more days pass like this manner, but Clarence still could not arrange any money. He is clueless about what to do next. Then an idea strikes him. He says to his friend, "Why can't I be a follower of the Apostle Jesus, one of his apostles, so that people will respect me and I'll gain power too?" With this plan in mind, he approaches the 12 apostles of Jesus, and he says to them, "I also want to join you all." Upon hearing this, everyone starts laughing at him because they all know that Clarence engages in stealing and cheating, so no one trusts him. Still, they decide to give him a chance. An apostle named Judas, he says, "You can join us, but at first, you will have to prove yourself. There's a man who has many slaves. If you can set those slaves free, you can join us." After hearing this, Clarence goes to the man with his friend and tells him, "You should free all these slaves. This is what Jesus has said." But the man is a very dangerous man with no compassion in his heart. He tells all the slaves that if they kill Clarence and his friend, he will set them free. Upon hearing this, all the slaves move forward to kill them, but the man stops them and says to Clarence, "I have a prisoner named Barabbas, who is a slave. If you defeat him in combat, I will set him free and send him with you." Actually, Barabbas is a highly dangerous gladiator. Everyone knows that he is an immortal. No one can kill him. Afterwards, a battle begins between Clarence and Barabbas. Clarence finds himself unable to stand firm in front of Barabbas. But then, he uses the broken blade of his sword to reflect the sunlight into Barabbas' eyes, momentarily blinding him. He swiftly places his sword at Barabbas' throat, and defeating him. After that, the guy let Barabbas go. Clarence walks up to the apostle with Barabbas, and he says, "I managed to set the guy free." But even then, he isn't accepted as an apostle, because his brother says, "You lack faith in God. You can never be part of our group." Upon hearing this, Clarence gets angry. He tells his brother, "When you should have been taking care of our elderly mother, you left everything behind and came here. It was me who took care of our mother." Saying this, he leaves the place. Actually, Clarence has no faith in Jesus at all. He believes that Jesus deceived people with his tricks. And now, he decides that he will also learn such tricks to make people foolish, and become a powerful and respected person himself, whom everyone trusts. Therefore, Clarence sets out with his friend and slave Barabbas to meet Mother Mary and Father Joseph. However, on the way, they are stopped by Roman soldiers who demand their documents. But these individuals do not have any documents. Actually, these soldiers are searching for Jesus. Somehow, all three manage to escape with their lives from there. Barabbas tells them, "No one can kill me, I am an immortal. There is no effect of a sword on my body." But Clarence and his friend do not believe his words. Afterwards, they reach Mother Mary and Father Joseph, where Clarence says to Mother Mary, "I want to learn all the tricks of Jesus." Mother Mary says that Jesus does not perform any tricks. People believe in him because what he does is true. But Clarence does not believe her words and he leaves from there. Later on, Clarence performs a trick by making his friend blind in front of everyone, and then using his power to restore his sight. Everyone is astonished to see this, but they are unaware that it's a deception. After that, Clarence takes his friend to another place where he guides him with the help of a walking stick, and then he restores his friend's feet. At one point, he lays his friend on the road as if he was a dead body, and then he resurrects him. People begin to trust him entirely, and they start giving him a lot of money, which results in him accumulating a significant amount of wealth. Along with this, now that people have faith in Clarence's miracles, and many people start considering him as a son of God. Afterwards, his brother Thomas comes to him and says, "What you are doing is totally wrong. You need to stop this." But Clarence doesn't listen to him. He adamantly opposes his advice. After this, his brother leaves from there. But Clarence knows that what he is doing, actually it's wrong, so somewhere deep down in his heart, he feels guilty. He then takes all the money he has and goes to the man who owns many slaves, the same man from whom he had freed immortal Barabbas. After giving all the money to that man, he convinces him to free all the slaves. He then goes to meet his girlfriend. He tells her, "Everything you have heard about my miracles so far was a deception. I lied to people to make them foolish to earn money and save myself from your brother. But now, I've truly changed. I want to be with you. That's why you'll come to meet me tonight." Meanwhile, we see Roman soldiers disguised as they continue to search for Jesus and his parents. They reach Mother Mary, and upon reaching her, they begin to attack her. Seeing this, Clarence's friend can't bear it and intervenes, stepping in between to protect her. But now, Jesus has also arrived at the scene. He raises his hand, and as soon as he does, all the stones in the air stop in their tracks. After that, he frees his mother, and merely with his touch, he heals all her wounds. Clarence's friend and all the people present there are astonished to see this. After this, Clarence's friend approaches him and tells him everything, but Clarence still doesn't believe his words and says that it must be some kind of trick. In the evening, Clarence goes to a party where his girlfriend Verinia comes to meet him. After a while, he notices that Verinia is not around. When he goes outside, he sees that Verinia's brother is there to apprehend him because Clarence has not returned his money yet. Clarence realizes that Verinia has betrayed him, but before Verinia's brother can catch him, Roman soldiers arrive there because Clarence has claimed to be the Son of God. Although Barabbas and his friend want to help him, but Clarence knows that their lives are in danger, so he entrusts himself to the Roman soldiers. Afterwards, Clarence is brought before the general of the Roman Empire. Clarence says, "I am not a son of God, I was fooling people." But the general says that you must walk on water. They uncover the lid of a pond, and then he instructs Clarence to walk on it. Clarence knows that as soon as he steps into the water, he will sink, and after that everyone will be convinced that he is not the Son of God. So, he starts walking on the water. But the surprising thing is that he doesn't sink into the water. Instead, he starts walking on the surface of the water. Upon seeing this, all the people there are astonished. Now, the Roman soldiers go into the water to catch him, but they all end up sinking into the water. Now the general realizes that Clarence also possesses some power. Therefore, he orders that Clarence be locked up in the dungeon and that he will be crucified. Actually, the people of the Roman Empire were killing individuals who claimed to be the Son of God themselves. And this is precisely why they were seeking Jesus and his apostles, because everyone was talking about their miracles. And now, Clarence is locked up in the dungeon, but word spreads everywhere that Clarence was seen walking on the water. There, his brother Thomas comes to meet him in the dungeon. Thomas says, "Forgive me, I left you and Mom alone." Clarence forgives his brother and tells him to take care of their mother after him. Here, Verinia also comes to meet him and tells him, "I didn't tell my brother about you, but my brother's people were tracking me, so they reached you. I want to marry you." Clarence believes her words. Meanwhile, we are shown Jesus. In front of him comes the same old man whom Clarence had knocked him down with his chariot at the beginning of this story. Actually, he's a beggar. Jesus gives him a coin, and as soon as the coin touches his hand, it starts multiplying, which makes him have a lot of money. He then undergoes a makeover and completely changes himself. Now, he even looks like Jesus himself. He then starts throwing money at people, which makes the soldiers of the Roman Empire here think that he is also a son of God, and the soldier arrest him as well. Now the day arrives when Clarence and the beggar, who had transformed to look exactly like Jesus, are to be crucified. In the midst of the crowd, they are taken to the place where the old man, who had assumed the appearance of Jesus Christ, is hurling curses at everyone. But Clarence was speaking kind words to everyone because now his heart and soul have experienced a profound change. Following that, they are crucified, and this leads to their death. Meanwhile, Jesus, who's one of his followers, is crying. Jesus tells him that he will be betrayed, and after that, he too will be crucified in the same manner. The following day, Jesus goes to the cave where Clarence's body was kept. He heals Clarence's wounds with his touch and brings him back to life. He says to Clarence, "You have done a great deed by freeing the slaves. Therefore, I forgive your past sins." And now Clarence is also convinced that Jesus is indeed a Son of God. He has now placed his faith in God, and he himself has become a follower of Jesus. With that, this story comes to an end. So friends, we hope you enjoyed this Bible story.